Now, listen, sometimes your problem is not your effort, it is your location. You see, too many of God's people are fighting battles connected to wrong foundations. You see, they pray, they go to church, they serve God, and they do everything right, and still they are battling with wrong foundations. And now, I'm not talking about the foundation of their father's house, I mean the foundation of the house where you currently live now. If you have experienced this before, you can tell how frustrating it is living in a wrong house. You know, things just start going wrong one after the other, and before you know it, you are drained financially, you are drained emotionally, and in most cases, you are drained spiritually. So, you see, I've been there before, and I know how frustrating this can be where you fix your bulb, then suddenly your socket goes bad. Then, as you fix in that socket, the next thing your TV follows suit. Then, when you fixing that TV, the next one is your refrigerator, so on and so forth. It never ends. You see, at times, people enter such houses with savings, people enter such houses with properties, and somehow everything just starts disappearing. Now, my wife was sharing a story with me a few months ago of a woman who moved into an apartment with her family. They came in with a pregnancy, with a car, and a working business. All of a sudden, within the space of 2 years, the business stopped work. They practically lost everything. They lost the car, lost finance, and the painful part of the story was that they lost the child. All right. So when situation like this happen, what we are quick to do is to ask God, why did you allow me enter places like this? Why is this happening to me? So on and so forth. But let me say something that might be hard to accept. You see, the problem is not always God. God is never the problem. The problem at all time is us, you, I. You see, our desire, our impatience, the pressure that we get to face, every day. And sometimes we force ourselves into places God never wanted us to be, into places, houses where God never led us to. And the consequences of it is struggle and frustration. And by the way, this is what happened in relationship where a young sister won't settle for anything less than her spec. But in the last 3 years, you've had multiple breakups, and all of them were your spec. Now, the question is your spec the will of God? Because most times we allow our desire to compete with the will of God. God doesn't have a problem leading us, but we have a problem obeying the leading of the Spirit because we have our own will and we have our desires. But here is the truth. There is a better way to live. There's such a thing as precision, where you are at the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, having the right conversation, finding yourself in the right apartment, in the right house, entering the right relationship, and making the right decision. It is called the God-led life. It's a life where you don't move by guesswork, but by divine direction. Now, let me show you how to come out of this situation. If you find yourself in such a house where everything is going down the drain, here are a few things you can do to come out of that situation. Now, number one, spot the signs early. Spot the signs early. And I believe this is where a lot of people make the bigger mistake, because they are careless and they tolerate everything that comes their way until the whole thing becomes overwhelming. But if you pay attention, right, the signs are always there. Within the first 4 to 6 months that you enter that place, right, you are going to start noticing financial setbacks. You are going to start noticing that things are not just working the way it's been working before, right? You are going to start noticing that you are making strange expenses now. Fix this, fix this. Every money that comes your way, you are fixing, repairing this, repairing that, or you're paying debt. See, you are going to start noticing decline in your sales or in your business return. And when things are just not working the way it's been working before, you see, when it gets to this point, this is not the time to just manage it, assuming It's just the season. Things are going to get better. See, it is the time to start planning your exit, because the moment you renew that rent, you have signed up for a longer battle, because it's just like your subscription. When you renew that subscription, you have signed up for a longer battle. So number two, be determined to leave. Be determined to leave that place. Be determined to leave that place, because if you are not determined, you are going to stay, you are going to renew that rental, hoping things are going to get better. And in such houses, in such places, the principle is don't stay more than a year, right? Because when things start going worse financially, it becomes very, very difficult for you to move out. That's why you see some people get stuck at some point after maybe 2 or 3 years, and they are not running head-scattered, not knowing what to do. But there was a time that it would have been very easy for you to move out. And listen carefully. Understand this, that your finance is always the target. Your finance, and so in some cases, your health. So, but your finance, however it goes, your finance is always the target. So, what do you do now when you are stuck? So the best thing is, when you are stuck already, what do? You go spiritual. When I say spiritual, I mean fervent prayer and fasting. You see, the Bible talked about Daniel, how he understood by books the number of years that they ought to have spent in captivity. Then what did he do? The Bible says he set his face to seek by prayer, by supplication, and by fasting. That was determination. Determination to get at that. See, the time God has said is the time God has said. We will not pass a moment. We will spend one day more in this captivity. So he was determined to change it. So he went into prayer and into fasting. A lot of us are in the middle of this situation, and you are clubbing. You are clubbing. You are clubbing. So there are situations where casual prayers will not work. It just won't work. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, plus Jesus minus devil. It won't work. So you must be intentional to change things. Tell yourself, I'm leaving this place, whether the devil likes it or not. Then fight it with prayer and watch how God is going to make a way for you. It might be at that time you don't even have the finance to move, but the determination alone to fight it and to get out of it. Don't tolerate it. Right, number three, we're going to discuss proximity. And I want you to pay attention to this, because this is where a lot of us make the biggest mistake. And when I say proximity, I mean walking closely to God, right? So because leaving that place is one thing, entering the right place again is another thing, right? Because when you lack discernment, you can leave one bad house and you enter the one that is worse. When you lack discernment, I have seen it happen to people over and over again, where they will leave a bad house, God rescue them from the bad house, and they're in another bad house again. It is lack of discernment, and that is where frustration comes in. Frustration, a bigger frustration. So you need what I call the God compass, to leverage on the God compass, and that is the ability to sense and follow God's direction. Because God doesn't just bring you out of that place, right? He leads you to a place of rest. He's going to lead you to a place of rest. So when your focus only is coming out of that place, you will have a bigger problem, because there is a possibility of you jumping into another place. So there is a way to live without being confused in life, without constant wrong decisions, and without circles of struggle. It is what I called the God-led life. That's what it's called. So where you do not guess your way all around life, because you know what decision to make. See, I've broken this down deeply in my book, The God-Led Life, where I show how you make decisions with clarity and with direction. So check the description of this video, or maybe the comment section, to get a copy for yourself. And if this message spoke to you directly, kindly share it with someone who might be in the wrong place right now. Because sometimes your biggest problem is not your effort, but your location. See you in my next video. My name is PK.